morning, everyone. Welcome to the convent. As you can see, I'm busy working today. Well, just keep recording. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. So, if any of you saw my last video, you know that we've launched a wallpaper company, Petherick & Co, and we are going to be manufacturing and releasing all of these beautiful designs. But at the moment, we were meant to release Stephanie's wallpaper, but there's been a problem with the manufacturing, so we're going to have to delay it, unfortunately. But that's just because we want it to be perfect. And at the moment, it's not perfect. So what I'll do is I'll quickly show you this. I've not really meant to show you this because, yeah, we did agree that we weren't going to show it, but I'm going to show it anyway. So this is the sample that we had done by the company in the UK. And at the moment, it's not quite right. Now, the problem was, if you look here at the original, what they would have done is, with the original, which would have been block printed, the background colour actually is not the background colour, if that makes sense. So what they would have done is they would have painted the whole sheet of paper this creamy sort of colour first. And then the block would have actually put the blue in between the sort of pattern here, which would create the sort of background colour. And then you would have this other layer that went over the top, which made these sort of white highlights. But the company proposed to do it the other way. So actually they would paint the whole sheet of the paper blue first, and then put the leaves over the top. And then they would put another roller over the top, which would do the highlights. But actually what that is doing is, because you've got one layer of paint and another layer of paint over the top of that, and then another layer of paint, or ink as they call it, over the top of that, that last layer is actually pulling off the intermediate layer, and you're actually, instead of getting a crisp, beautiful white highlight, you're actually seeing part of the blue background underneath showing through, which is not, it's not where it needs to be. So we are going to have to find a different way to manufacture it. But in the meantime, while we sort that out, I'm going to have to just continue. So at the moment, we've only got two designs. We've got the Emperor's Pheasant, which you've seen in the last video, which is available. And then we've got Stephanie's design for her kitchen, which is, it's not ready to be released yet. But apart from that, that's the only two designs we have. So I need to make some new designs, because you can't have a wallpaper company with just two designs. So I've got some options, and what I'd like to do is actually share some options with you viewers today and get some feedback, because it's all good me saying, oh, I want to do this wallpaper, and then actually nobody likes it, nobody buys it. So what I'm going to do is get some feedback from you and talk about some of the ideas that I've got. So let's do it. Right, so this is our, well, I call it the archive. It's just a shelf with some designs on it. So I'm trying to think what designs can I do. I've got loads of ideas, but it's what direction do I want to go in? Because we have a huge selection of old wallpapers that we could just reproduce, which is great, because there's some here that I've actually bought the original drawings for. So that we actually own them. We're not just taking them from like an old roll that we found somewhere. So for example, I bought some of these from an antique wallpaper dealer in Paris recently, and these are from the archive of actually I think it was a fabric weaving company in Belgium that went out of business many years ago, and the antique dealer, well, his father actually managed to acquire the entire archive of the original drafts, the drawings for these designs. So and that he sold me some, which was very kind, and we do have some. So like, this is a really nice design that I bought. If we bring it into the light, it might be a bit better. So here we go. So this is like a kind of, is quite a sort of almost like a Gothic Revival style design, almost like, I would say, in the style of Augustus Pugin, who was an amazing Gothic Revival designer. Now, actually, for years, the chateau's entrance hall, I've been trying to find a beautiful sort of Gothic Revival style paper that wasn't too crazy, not too over the top. There's something that was in a green, like the entrance hall, something that would look soft and fit in with the architectural style of that room. And I've searched for 9 years, haven't found anything until we found this. So this design is absolutely beautiful, and you can see it's pretty simple. There's the background color, there's this other color here, like a sort of darker green, and then there's this creamy sort of color. And actually the part of the pattern that is picked out is just the background color. So to have this made would, in the traditional way, using either a roller or a block print, would be quite easy, because it's only 2 blocks or 2 rollers that you would need to create the design. So this is quite a good design. Do I think many people would buy it? I don't know. You'd have to tell me in the comments. I'd be really interested to know if this is your taste. I think really this is something we would do probably a bit later on, but it would be an amazing project to recreate this as a wallpaper and do the chateau's entrance hall with it. So that's one design, that's one possibility. Please let me know what you think. We do have loads of others. I mean, for example, we've got this wallpaper that came from my friend Stephanie's chateau, from the Chateau Diaries, in a bedroom that's no longer there. That could be reproduced. It's a nice design. Do we love it? We like it, but I don't know. It's a possibility. Stephanie maybe would love to reproduce that, actually, and I would be happy to do that for her. So we've already got one design from Stephanie that's still in production, so we won't do any of the other ones just yet, but that's a possibility. You've also got, this is another one from Chateau de Lalande. If you're familiar with that channel, you'll know this wallpaper, because it's very, she's used that on some products and things, and it's nice. And that's also from a bedroom that no longer exists. They took the bedroom out, so maybe it'd be nice to preserve these designs in the future. So we can have a Lalande collection. So you've got the one from her kitchen, you've got the ones from her bedrooms and things like that. Great. Got some other ones here. So this is another design that I also bought from the same guy in Paris. This is a little bit more, I want to say, it's a little bit more like 16th, 17th century, which is also very pretty. It's like a gold and silver design. Could be really nice as a wallpaper, but at the minute, I'm not sure if it's like something that I really want to put my effort into at the minute. But I mean, it's a beautiful option. So, we've got loads of stuff that we can produce. I've got another one. I actually got another one which has huge potential, I think. Where are we? We've got this one. So this one I really like. Now it is quite similar in style to the one that we are doing for Stephanie's kitchen. That kind of style. It's a little bit different, but it's this one, which is actually, I think, is a really nice design. Now at the minute it's just 2 colours, but like the one I did for Stephanie, which actually has 3 colours. It has this sort of extra layer of highlights in. I could add something like that to it, but it's at the minute it's in just a sage green and like a creamy colour. This is lilac. You've got they're called bleeding hearts. I think they're a type of flower, and also you've got irises. Now all of these flowers flower roughly in Europe, where I live, in May, and actually my great aunt and my great aunt, mother and daughter, were both called Florence May, and Florence obviously means flowering. So I thought maybe we could call this design Florence May, after my great aunt, and reproduce it. And it'd probably be nice in some more of pastel-y colours. You imagine something a bit like that, either pinks or soft greens, soft blues, with a few different colours. That's got huge potential. That's a really nice design. So that's an option. And I do have some other design ideas. So instead of recreating stuff that already exists, it's still creating something that already exists, but reimagining it. So let's talk about the next design I've got an idea for and see what you think of that one. So I have this idea for a design. I've had this idea in my head for probably the last, 6 years. In the Chateau Versailles in Paris, that was built by Louis XIV, there is a room, and it's known as the Chambre de la Reine, which means the Queen's bedroom. And the last queen to sleep in that room was Marie Antoinette. And on the walls in that bedroom are these beautiful, well, I think they're woven silk. It's that late 18th century style where there was sort of like lots of flowers and beautiful pastel colors and ribbons and like feathers and things like that. And I've always loved that design, but you know, you can't buy that design anywhere. Nobody's produced it ever, I can think of. So the original silk wall coverings for that room were produced in Lyon, and from their archive, I've managed to obtain like a drawing, it's a very crude drawing of the pattern. Recently, the original silk coverings for that room were so badly damaged and so old that they had to reproduce it. So I've managed to find the drawings from the company that did it. Now here they are. Now it's not a great printout. It's, you know, it's quite pixelated. It's the best that I could find. And if you line the pattern up, that's basically the repeat. And it's a half drop repeat, which means the next part of this pattern starts halfway between the others. So, you know, these two ribbons here would line up with the next two ribbons here. So if you look, come in a bit closer and you look, so you've got this beautiful sort of bouquet of flowers here. There's peacock feathers. There's these beautiful, like these ribbons. And I think that would make a beautiful design. I might change the colours a little bit because I think it's quite heavy on the purple in these ribbons and things like that. And the peacock feathers here are, well, they're kind of brown. And I think it would look better if they were more of a blue, the colour of natural colours of peacock feathers. So I think that would be a really nice design. Now, obviously, it'd be larger, like a larger scale, closer to the original. What I've done is I've actually taken the first part of this design and I have done a simple trace of the design. So this is in pencil. And then what I would normally do is, instead of painting directly onto that pencil drawing, because I might make a mistake and then I've ruined that pencil drawing, I'll have to do the whole thing again. So what I do now is I'll take that pencil drawing unpainted, I will scan it, and then, if you can see here, that's quite crisp, all the lines. If I was to paint over that with watercolour, you're going to see all of these pencil lines. So what I then do is I scan it and then I'll then print out onto some paper those pencil drawings, but much fainter. And then I will paint onto that. And that way, the original pencil drawing's preserved. I've still got the pattern. And if I want to, I can actually now print that onto a much larger piece of paper that would be the final scale of the wallpaper and then paint it full size. I did start painting this, but for some reason, I didn't actually, at the time, I didn't have any watercolor paper big enough. So this is photo paper that you would print on. And actually, once you start putting the watercolor on, it spreads out over the paper. So all of those lovely fine details are just lost. It kind of looks a bit smudgy. So what I've done, I've actually bought some watercolor paper, really big, and I can cut it to scale. I can put it in the printer, print out the pattern, full scale, like sort of 52 centimeters wide, the same as a wallpaper, and I'll paint that, scan it back in, and then we'll have something that we can print as a wallpaper. So all I've got to do now is actually get on with this, because I've already started it, and I don't know, you know, what I really want is some feedback. Does anyone think this is a good idea? Do you like this kind of thing? Okay, so I do have some other designs that I've been working on. So this is one that was actually found upstairs in the convent, which I've done a digital version of. You know, it's really detailed. You can zoom quite in and see, you know, the individual specks of paint and things like that. But also the artist in me kind of wants to create something new. People seem to quite like my artwork, and I've sold lots of prints and things over the years of my paintings. I think maybe that would be a new way for people to see my artwork, is actually on their walls, not just in a frame, but actually covering the entire walls. If you like the idea, maybe we'll start that tomorrow. It could be the next video. I actually need to go somewhere this afternoon to another chateau and have a look at their wallpapers, because they've asked me to come and give my opinion on some of the historic wallpapers they've got on the walls and whether they could be reproduced and stuff. But that won't be on my channel. That will be on my friend's channel. Oh no, not another chateau. I don't know if you've heard of them. That's Rennie and Gustavo. But in the meantime, I thought before I go and do that, I'll show you my little art studio room at the convent, because I don't think anyone's actually seen it yet. So I'll show you. This is where I do all of my painting. So I've got this shelf here. It's like a little shop actually, like my little art shop. But this is all the stuff I use to paint. You know, you've got pencils and mixing mediums, all different kinds of inks, different kinds of watercolors, tubes, pans of them, hot boxes, all different kinds of paper. Everything I could ever need is all here. Yeah, so what I'll show you is some of the things that I've been working on. So that's the original piece of Stephanie's wallpaper, the one that I had to wash it actually, because it was so badly stained. But I did end up with a flat piece of paper, but the only problem was the old ink that was used, or paint, was actually water soluble. So most of the pattern disappeared, but I got a nice clean flat image from it. So that's that. That's the wallpaper we've just released. That's the blue version. We've got a yellow version just here. So they're the original sort of prints of them. I've got this design. This is the old Lincruster wallpaper from the chateau that was in the dining room. Now we did talk to Lincruster about getting it done, but it was so expensive. It was something ridiculous, like 2,000 a roll or something like that. It would have worked out. It was way too expensive. But I think we could reproduce that design in a different way. So it's not embossed. It could be sort of like a digitally printed, or it could be done with rollers or something like that to get the same pattern. This is the one that was upstairs in the convent. I just showed you that on the computer. That's the original. So that is, you know, that's scanned, ready to be reused. You know, this is the file here. It's just a rough printout. So we've got all these different options. What else have I got here? I've got some stuff that I've been working on. That's the watercolour I did of the convent. That's the original. I've got, I don't know if I meant to show this, but I don't know, you might as well see it anyway. This is one that I've been working on for Stephanie, but I had to do so many different versions of this. It took a lot longer than expected. So that, I'll just show you really quickly. There you go, that's it. I'm sure she'll show you that when she's ready. And yeah, so that's my little office. So, oh actually, here is the paper that I bought specifically to do the Marie Antoinette design. Because obviously all of my art books are just like that sort of size. I haven't really got anything big enough to do as a wallpaper. So wallpaper is about, so obviously that's the width of most wallpapers. So I've managed to find some paper that's actually bigger. So this is beautiful Arches wallpaper. Now Arches is a company that have been making paper in France since 16 something. So, you know, of a good 400 years. And I bought that paper to do that design on. So it comes in individual sheets. So I think that would be lovely to work on. You can see the texture of it, it's beautiful. I actually think that is the back. If I turn it over, that is the front. Yeah, and you can see the watermark there. So I've got a few sheets of that. I think I've actually got 4 sheets of that. So there's more than enough to do a wallpaper design on. So if you think that idea is a good idea, we'll start painting that tomorrow, and I'll film the whole process, because actually up until now I haven't shown the full process from start to finish of creating the wallpaper. So that might be good, little good stories to you to follow along with, and then you can, you know, eventually you'll see the result when it's produced. So let me know what you think. I'm going to go and see my friends Rennie and Gustavo now, and I just want to say thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you for another one really soon. Bye.